Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're looking at the Super Conqueror, but at the same time we're comparing it to the FV215B and the Chieftain MK6 while playing two live games to find out which of these tanks is the best. Now, of course, the live games are there for your entertainment. I'm going to try and play them pretty decently, I guess, but of course, the main topic is, of course, the comparison of the three tanks. Of course, it doesn't find me a game straight away, which is quite annoying, but there we go. We start off in Yukon, of course, and this is a pretty decent map. Now, if we look at all three tanks, they are quite different from each other. The gameplay is going to be very, very different. Well, not very different, but slightly different on each of these tanks. Now, the Super Conqueror is definitely going to be the youngest brother out of three of them because it came into the game last. The Chieftain, the middle one, and of course the FV215B is the eldest. Now, the gun gradually gets better on each of these tanks. The Super Conqueror has by far the worst gun out of all three of these tanks. It does have almost 3k DPM, which is pretty good, standard 400 alpha, blah, blah, blah. But the FV215B is going to have 3.2k, almost 3.3, while the Chieftain is going to have almost 3.2k DPM, which is, of course, very nice. And in this scenario, I pushed up way too much because I was too focused on talking, so I'm glad we're not getting pushed up instantly. Now, if we look at the weapon handling, it's very, very similar. I mean, the Super Conqueror has the worst weapon handling out of all three of these tanks. The FV215B has the best by far. The aim time is insane on that tank. And of course, the accuracy is also really, really good. So in that regard, the Super Conqueror is not going to be the best. The Chieftain is going to be the middle brother, of course, and the FV215B is going to be the best. However, it's always overshadowed. The older brother is always overshadowed for some reason. And of course, in that regard, I mean, the Super Conqueror has the best armor. Let's face it, turret-wise and hull-wise, I mean, the Chieftain is also pretty decent, but it's nowhere near the Super Conqueror. The Super C can actually side scrape, it can fully go hull down because it doesn't have so many weak spots on the turret, etc, etc. And so if you look at the armor profile of this tank, it's going to be way better than the other two brothers in this regard. Now, the FV215B barely has any armor on the tank. That's why it's a very hard, heavy tank to play. I mean, frontally, you won't be stopping a lot. Maybe one in every few games. But apart from that, this tank is basically made out of cardboard. Everyone will be able to smash through your upper plate. I mean, they don't really care. The T62 is going to have much better armor than the FV215B, and let's face it. Now, in this regard, I feel like we haven't done too much damage, but that's okay. As long as we get a few shots more, we should be hitting that 3k mark. I'm pretty sure this VK is going to die. No, we can pretty much pick him up. And this E4 is closer to me, so I really hope I get this last shot in. But anyway, moving apart from that, what do we have so far? The Super Conqueror has the best armor, but the worst gun. So now let's take a look at the mobility. Again, the Super Conqueror has the worst mobility out of all of them, the worst power to weight ratio, and the worst speed, 36 kilometers forward. The Chieftain has the best mobility out of them, in my opinion, with a good power to weight ratio, but at the same time with a good speed forward. The FV215B, of course, does have that extra, speed boost, but we're not counting that in this comparison. I mean, the Super Conqueror is a good tank in general, but it's just not going to be as good as the Chieftain, in my opinion, when it comes to dealing damage and doing something like that. Now, of course, we're starting our second game, and again, I'm going to try and concentrate, but at the same time, it's quite hard to talk about tanks and play. But in the Super Conqueror, you're pretty much a standard heavy tank. You're not that fast, you're quite slow, you have good armor, so you really need to try and go hull down, in my opinion. The only way to play this tank is hull down, and there are going to be much better tanks to go hull down in, especially because the Super Conqueror is just a bit slow sometimes. Like, you can really feel the sluggishness. And in general, I feel like this tank is made for, players who struggle sometimes. And just like this FV215B is going to struggle against us right now, I'm pretty sure we can take up a big chunk of his HP simply because he's in no position to do anything to us. I mean, look, what is this guy going to do? In these situations where you can actually use your gun and go hull down, I mean, this tank is going to be very good. I'm not saying that this tank has bad weapon handling, even though it's not the greatest. it's still very usable, and I'd say it's got pretty decent weapon handling, to be fair. Now, the Death Star shot, so we're just going to be going straight after him, and I'm thinking of going straight for these heavies, because the Yag is one shot for a lot of tanks on our team, and I really don't want to sort of go for him. But of course, in this scenario, he's looking at us. Thank you very much, Yag. We're going to hide and pretty much, again, use our DPM to shred these tanks to bits. In a lot of scenarios, the Super Conqueror is going to be good, again, as I said, for your average player or for newer players who are looking for a tier 10 collector tank. I definitely say just go for the Super Conqueror rather than the Chieftain or the FV215B, because again, if your skill is not up there, I feel like you're going to struggle. Even though those tanks do have a better, gun in general, you're really not going to be able to sort of, use the gun to its full potential if you die very quickly. I mean, a lot of people are going to rely on armor, and so in my opinion, a lot of players definitely would prefer the armor profile over the little bit of the edge on the in regards to the gun, because again, if you survive longer, you can actually still use your gun compared to just dying quickly and not being able to fully utilize your weapon, right? So again, in this regard, I allowed him to shoot me. It's okay. I'm really just going for that damage in this part of the game, because everyone's dying. I mean, the IS-4 is dead. We did do some pretty good damage, and it does overall show the capabilities of the Super Conqueror. So tell me what you guys think about this tank in the comment section below. And with that, Happy is out, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye-bye.